Welcome to the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and connected to the miraculous energy of unconditional love that I call Mother Mary. If you're a highly sensitive, highly creative entrepreneur or light worker, and you want to magnify your impact and your intuition, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Reverend Frances Faden, interfaith minister, intuitive coach, and author of Meditation is Friendship with God. I can't wait to share miraculous stories, books, meditations, messages, and interviews with other miraculous light workers just like you. Are you ready to magnify your miracles? What are we waiting for? Let's get started. Hello, my miraculous friend, and welcome to another episode of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. This is Reverend Frances Faden, and I'm so grateful to get to spend this time with you. Before we go into today's topic, let's take a few deep breaths together just to get ourselves grounded and centered, really getting ourselves ready to receive this inspiration today. Letting go whatever happened beforehand, whatever might be coming afterwards, and just give yourself the gift of being in this present moment. And as you're doing that, just thinking about all the wonderful energy that you're open to receiving. And that Divine Mother knows exactly what you need to hear. And whatever that is going to be exactly what you're hearing today. Let's take one more deep breath together in gratitude. And we can begin. All right. Well, welcome once again, my friend. And I'm so grateful to spend this time with you today because I'm going to be talking about something that we don't ever really talk about at all. I mean, people talk about it in a religious context, but I want to talk to you about the energy of a Sabbath, the energy of what I call sacred rest, and why it is crucial for your ability to magnify your miracles. Why maybe you've been trying to magnify a miracle, maybe you've been trying to, have something happen and you feel a little bit stuck or it's not working or whatever it might be. And this is the last thing we think about is taking a sacred pause, a sacred rest. Now, traditionally, the energy of a Sabbath, we know from religion that this is a day that's a day off. It's a day that's dedicated to renewing your spirit. But how many people actually do this? Even if you take off on Friday or Saturday or Sunday or whatever day it might be for you, and you go to church or you go to your mosque or you go to your temple, whatever it might be for you, are you really spending the entire day doing something restorative, doing something to honor your sacred self, doing something that's going to really revitalize you? And I think the answer for most of us, including myself, is no. We take a day off from work. Sometimes we don't even take a day off from work. We just keep going. And we work on the weekends and we're working late into the evening. And then we wonder why we're having a difficult time sleeping and, why we have some of the issues that we have and we feel disconnected and we feel isolated because we're not giving ourselves a fundamental energy that I believe is divinely ordained. We're being asked to take a rest, take a sacred break. Now, a lot of people will do something like they'll go on a weekend and they'll take a seminar or they'll go on a retreat. And those are really important. And I highly encourage you to do that. But if you're doing that instead of having your weekly or daily even Sabbath time, it's not really going to be enough. It's kind of like, going to get a health treatment once a year. Like it's helpful, but you really need to be taking care of your health more on a regular basis. Similarly, you need to be taking care of your spirit in the same way. And what I have found is that people tend to push and push and push, and they don't take a rest from that. So it's kind of like being in high tide mode all the time. It's not really sustainable. The tide goes in, the tide goes out. And that's how our energy needs to be as well. We need to honor that when the tide is high, when we have a lot of energy, great, maybe that's the time to be active. But then the tide's going to go back out. We're going to have low tide. and we need to pull our energy back in. On a daily basis, this happens with our waking time and our sleeping time. We really need to be giving ourselves more of that down quiet time to be reading, to be reflecting, to be meditating, to just even being with yourself. And a lot of people, this can bring up some anxiety for them. But I want to share with you a startling statistic. To me, this was startling because I'm recording this we're in the time of COVID. We've been in it now for almost 6 months, this time of this worldwide viral energy. And I'm going to be telling you about a little bit about this energy in just a second. But I want to tell you this startling statistic that I heard from Martha Beck. I was listening to Martha Beck every Sunday. She does the Gathering Room on Facebook. Highly recommend it if you don't check it out. If you don't know about it, I highly recommend that you check it out. She usually does it in the afternoon, and she did this a couple of weeks ago. And the thing about Martha Beck, she's an amazing coach, she's an amazing trainer, but she's also a researcher, so she loves her statistics. And there's a startling statistic that since COVID started and people have been in quarantine and lockdown mode, guess what has happened? Premature birth has gone down 90%. 90%. Now take that in. Think about that. Now we know, God, we're so grateful that when babies are born prematurely, we're grateful now that we have the ability to help them stay alive. But we all know that the best thing for that baby is to stay inside its mama until that 9 months happens, because it has everything it needs to really grow, for its lungs to grow, for its brain, all the development that it needs. It's going to be best inside the mom. 90% drop in premature births. And what Martha said is it's due to, they don't know exactly, but you and I can guess that part of what it's due to is women aren't out traveling as much, so they're not exposed to as much air pollution. Air pollution, I didn't know. Air pollution was a big factor in premature birth, but now we know. And then the two that are really the most significant to me is women are getting more rest. They're not out running around like a chicken with their head cut off, going from here to here to here to here to here. They're actually going to sleep. They're getting more sleep. There's not that energy of push, push, push. And then the other energy is that they're connecting more with their loved ones at home. And so because people aren't, again, running around like crazy people are home more, the stress level has been dropping. Now, it's interesting because there's a whole different level of stress with COVID, right? There's this whole level of stress with people, like in the beginning, what was going on, and are we going to have the supplies that we need? There was that level of stress, like the stress of the unknown. But it's very interesting that the day-to-day stress of the way that we live went down dramatically. And I can tell you, as somebody who does coaching with mostly women have been saying to me, Frances, I hate to say this, but I'm really grateful for this time. I'm not grateful that people are sick, but I'm grateful that I'm not hopping on a plane every other week. I'm grateful that I'm not in traffic all the time, that I'm not in commuter traffic, that I'm not running around taking my kids from the soccer game to this, to that, and just on the go constantly. Just like I've been praying about this for a way that, I could have more downtime, and it seems to be happening. And those people have been saying to me that there's been a blessing. Now, there's also challenges, homeschooling and all that kind of thing that's going on with people. And I'm not saying that this is an ideal situation, but there's something really important and significant about this idea of these babies getting what they need to go to term. And think about that symbolically for you. What is it within you that's been wanting to be born? I call it a miracle. What's the miracle? We always talk about the miracle of life when a baby is born. What's the miracle that's been trying to come through you that maybe has been going through a miscarriage energy, or maybe hasn't been able to come to term? Maybe you've not been able to write your book. Maybe you've not been able to go deeply into your own healing process that you've been wanting to go through. Maybe you've not been able to give yourself the time to reflect and really think about what's next for me. Maybe your kids are off at college and you're dealing with empty nest syndrome, and you've not given yourself the ability to say, what's next, because what's next is wanting to come through you. But now we know it needs downtime. It needs that Sabbath energy. It needs the energy of physical rest. It needs the energy of emotional support. And it needs the energy of just downtime. Like, it's okay. I don't have to run around. I'm able to get what I need right where I live. Now, the other thing that caught my attention about this that I wanted to share with you, there's this book I'm reading, and you know me and my books. I love my books. There's this book I'm reading from a woman named Diane Goldner. I'm going to see if I can get her on the podcast because I love her books. And this book is called Yes, You Can Heal. Yes, You Can Heal. The Secret to Transforming Illness and Creating a Radiant Life. And what I like about this book is she really goes into a lot of stuff that I also do in my own practice, working with people's energy and understanding like what is the symbolism of what it is that they're dealing with. So she's got this little chart, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see she's got this little chart here. And it is on page 177 if you want to get this book. And very similar to what Louise Hay did in her book, You Can Heal Your Life. She's got a body area or an issue, and then she has an underlying issue or a theme. And it caught my attention that it says viral infection. And right now, our planet is dealing with this viral infection. I said, well, what does she say is the underlying issue for a viral infection? May indicate that a life pattern or a belief needs to be re-examined and transformed. Isn't that amazing? I'll read it again. It may indicate that a life pattern or a belief needs to be re-examined and transformed. And I really believe that's what we're going through right now. Now, there's a lot of things. I'm not going to get into all the things or what might be happening now, but I really think Divine Mother is saying to us, hey, sweetie, this isn't working. This isn't working the way that you've been burning the candle at both ends, the way that you've been on go, go, go mode. We've all been in hyper masculine mode, go, 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 do, achieve, achieve. And the energy of a Sabbath is about recognizing that you're not designed to be that way. You're not designed to be in go mode all the time. And sometimes, unfortunately, it takes illness for us to stop. Different people, it's different things. I usually see it's the first three chakras that catch our attention. It's either our physical health in our root chakra. It can be our finances. That tends to be more in the second and third chakra. It can be our career, which is definitely our third chakra, or it can be our relationships. Those are the big things that tend to stop us in our tracks. Like maybe somebody passes away, or maybe you thought your relationship was great and then your husband or wife asks for a divorce and it stops you in your tracks. It's good to be stopped in our tracks because we need to learn how to stop and how to listen. And the Sabbath time is a time to be with your soul. So here's what I recommend for you. Now, you might be saying, oh my God, where would I even begin? It doesn't have to be a whole day. It can be a part of a day. So maybe you have a Sabbath morning, and maybe it's a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning, and you give yourself from 7 to 9 a.m., and you tell your family, I'm not available. And you let yourself do what your heart longs to do. Now, be very careful not to turn this into to-do time. Like, oh, I got to do my Sabbath. No, this is your time to relax. And you know what you might want to do? You might want to just like lay in bed and read a book. And you may want to sit and have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And you may want to sit in your backyard and like watch the animals running around, gathering nuts for the wintertime or something. It doesn't matter what it is. The point is that it's not about achieving anything. It's about filling your cup back up, restoring your soul. Now, very often there are sacred things that will do that. It could be listening to music. It could be doing some yoga. It's not that you can't do anything. I just want to make sure that you're not in a mode of doing, because this is just going to become another to-do list. And one of my clients said to me a couple of weeks ago, even everything I do to take care of myself is starting to feel like another long to-do list. And I just don't want to do it. And I say, well, then don't do it. You want to honor your being energy, the she part of you, the part of you that is guiding you and whispering to you. And maybe she wants to finish that crossword puzzle. And maybe she wants to give herself time to read that book on spirituality. Maybe she wants to listen to a podcast about something that's of interest to her. Maybe she wants to spend a little time writing. Maybe she wants to do something creative, like make her own jewelry or her own rosary, or maybe she wants to play the piano or learn a new instrument or be outside in the garden. Or maybe what she really wants to do that fills her up is she wants to get out a cookbook and try a new recipe. This is your time to be with your soul. People talk about the energy of a sabbatical, and it's usually longer than a day. A sabbatical is a time where you give yourself an extended period of taking a break from what you normally do. And why do we do that? We do that to let what is under the surface come to the surface. If we don't give that part of us time and space to commune with us, it doesn't come, and we won't hear it. And we'll be feeling a little bit lost, and we'll be feeling kind of drained. So I encourage you, my friend, if you really want to magnify your miracles, think about this Sabbath energy for yourself. You could call it a day of sacred rest. You could call it your sacred time with yourself. It could be a journaling time. It can be getting caught up with yourself. Sometimes that's what people call it, getting caught up with yourself. Ideally, it's a time of communion. It's a time where you can meditate and you can be with God. For some of us, it's a little bit of a stretch to do that, to even get to that point. If you can do that, do things that restore your soul. And I'll leave it up to you as to what those things are. Obviously, you can be listening to this podcast. You can be going through the list of books that I recommend, doing whatever feeds your soul. Be in nature. Let yourself be outside. Let the other part of you, the being part of you, let her lead and show you that it's not about achieving, it's about being. And as you do this, you might even want to have a journal of your Sabbath days or your Sabbath time. Notice what starts to feel different. Notice if you start to feel happier. Notice if you start to get more messages from the divine. Notice if you get more downloads or you start to see synchronicities happening. I can guarantee you that those things will probably happen the more you let yourself be in the Sabbath time, the time of sacred rest, the time of nourishing yourself on a deep, deep level. It's not always easy. You might want to find a Sabbath, a sacred Sabbath or a sacred time friend that you can have some accountability with and say, hey, what are you doing this week for your sacred self time? What are you going to do? And then you can check in with each other. And that can be a really sweet and loving thing to do. You're doing it to take care of yourself, to really honor that beautiful spirit that is within you. All right, my friends. So that is what I wanted to share with you. I would love to hear your experience about it. I'm going to be on this journey with you as we go into this last part of the year. We're going into the darker time, into the fall and the winter. This is a perfect time to be honoring the cycle and the season where we're going to be having more darkness, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. And it's encouraging us to go within even more. So I'm going to encourage you to experiment with it. Let me know how it goes. If you're already doing a Sabbath, I would love to hear what your Sabbath experience is like. How has it changed your life? Do you have any tips that you could share? I'd love to hear about the miracles that are happening for you as well. And if you have some good books that you love reading during your Sabbath time, please let me know. I'm always looking for more good books. I love connecting with spirit and feeding my soul through the energy of the written word. It's so powerful. Thank you for spending this time with me, my friend. It is so great to be with you. And I love hearing from you and hearing about all the miracles that are happening in your life. And we always end by remembering and reminding ourselves that the key to magnifying our miracles is just one key, one of many. But the most important key is to remember that our miracle is already here. God bless you, my friends. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. I'm so grateful to be able to spend this time with you. If you want even more inspiration, feel free to visit my website, francisfaden.com, or magnifyyourmiracles.com. And if you did enjoy this episode, I would really appreciate it if you left a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever it is that you connect with awesome podcasts. Remember, the key to magnifying your miracles is remembering that your miracle is already here.